welcome, my tarot friends. Thank you so much for joining me today in our first episode in the series Under the Magnifying Glass, where we are looking at the Herbcrafter's Tarot. So, as you can see, I laid out the aces of this deck already. And if we just think about the aces generally, right? What do the aces in tarot represent? So the aces in tarot represent starting points, new beginnings, potential for the realized suit. So the beginning of the suit and then what it could become through the journey, through all the numbers. All the possibilities. They represent all the possibilities. And then in the Herbcrafter's Tarot specifically, in the guidebook, they talk about that they chosen the plants that are weeds and easily found in nature. These are often first plants that we meet as beginner herbalists. So you can just step out of your house and you will see these plants right around you, like anywhere you look at. They're also called the dooryard herbs because they are right on our doorsteps. These plants are the gateways into the world of herb crafting. In tarot, we are moving through this journey in three. So we have like three parts so you could separate numbers 1 to 10 into three parts. So 1 to 3, 4 to 6, and 7 to 9. And then we have number 10, which is, things accomplished and overflowing, etc. And basically starting really with one foot, you're in the new journey already. So in the Herbcrafter's Tarot, in numbers 1, 2, and 3, you are at the beginning of your herb crafting journey, or the herb crafter is. All these plants initiate the herb crafter into the world of plant medicine. They trigger excitement, they trigger hopefulness, and the feeling of everything that is possible. The herb crafters' experience with these plants then triggers a remembering of ancient ways and invites a deeper knowing. So, like I said in the introduction video, this deck talks a lot about our connection to our ancestors and triggering that inner knowing that is within our bones, within our DNA from the ancestors. So these plants trigger that remembrance. They awaken something within us. And they talk about in the guidebook as well that the aces are like acorns. They contain the stories of ancestors as well as the promise for the future, which is a paradox in itself as well, but it also makes sense. Because, when you have a seed, it obviously promises the future, but also it came from somewhere, from the past. Something had to create this acorn, therefore it also connects us to the past, to the ancestors, to what was before, which I find brilliant actually. And they inspire a fresh view towards your calling as well. Now, like I said in my introduction video, if you watched it, what I did with each card is is it called path working with each card? So I would feel the card, I would listen to the card, I will try to smell, not the card actually, but what is within the card, like the scene. So I would step into it and feel everything in the card. And I'm gonna now tell you what I felt in each card, and then what it says in the guidebook about the card and how it makes sense. So if you firstly look at Ace of Air, my observations were that I firstly noticed a lot of white color. So we have white color on yarrow, the plant, and in the skies, in the clouds. And I noticed the hummingbird, which represents joy, lightness, speed, which I associate with air sign or air suit. I noticed that blossoms are making the landscape more versatile, more beautiful and interesting, because it looks quite like not a lot is going on, I would say. You even have the branches, some of them are like the leaves are already falling off. So it's probably late summer. I also noticed the spiky fence here, and that Yarrow is pushing through that fence. He is making his way through the fence, moving through seemingly limited and dangerous space, being willing to try, having that initial will, new perspective, looking out of the box. That's what I got from this image as well. And the whole feeling, if you compare it to the other three, is a very airy feeling to the whole card, so it's very obvious that it's an air suit. This card also makes me feel open-minded, as the landscape is very open and flat, so everything is possible, you know. Like, I can let my mind run, you know. And then I looked at the guidebook, and in the guidebook we have the 3 points that say to not fence yourself in mentally, which is to do with this fence, like I noticed. To use discernment to survive, or just to use discernment, depends what your situation is. And knowing your wounds, so then you can identify what you need. So identifying things that you need. The first seeds of a new idea can be found just out of your front door. Get inspired by being open. Get inspired by opening your eyes to what is around you. So this could literally be a fence that is out on our garden. So look what is there for you. Take a fresh look at an ancient calling from spirit, and I think fresh look is this white fresh flowers. And then it talks about how Yarrow also gets unnoticed, and this card tells you that inspiration is actually close, but you might have overlooked it as not valuable enough or ordinary. And then to also use discernment and reasoning, which is connection to the air suit, to see clearly. It's a very clear picture as well. If you look at it, you can see clearly all the details of the background as well. And then it talks about how Yarrow can be mixed up with lookalikes who can be, which, I'm talking about it as a person, which can be deadly. So it also puts an importance on setting feelings aside and using your mind to discern, to know what is the truth and what is not the truth. Just start even with what's already known. So if you already know this plant, just start with something that is simple. You know this plant, that's fine. It can be the first plant you work with, and then this is your first step. Incredible, isn't it? And then let's move on to Ace of Fire. Before we do that, please in the comments write what does this first Ace of Air make you feel and think. Do you have any other associations that I haven't mentioned, that are not mentioned in the book? Because that's another thing that they say in the guidebook, you know, to create your own vocabulary, to create your own thing about each card, which is very easy to do because this card speaks so loudly, at least to me, hopefully to you as well as you're watching this. Oh, and let me just mention one crafting point for the air before we move to the fire. So it says to create a powder made of dried yarrow leaves to stop bleeding, for example. That's a very practical crafting advice there. Okay, let's move on to the fire, otherwise we're gonna take too long. So when I looked at this painting or picture, drawing, my observations and feelings were that the plant mullein, I think it's mullein, I'm not sure how to mullein, I'd say mullein. The mullein stands powerful and strong, yet if you look at its leaves, are very soft. So to me it speaks like you need to be strong, but have a kind heart, have that softness to you. You know, like the strength card, kind of like soft strength. we see that there's a lot of, if you look at the color spectrum around these cards, we see that in this card what stands out is the yellow and orangey colors, which talks to me about the suit of fire, and it says that it has that energy to it. Again, we have a spiky fence at the back, which again talks about that this is probably in your own garden. And to me, it also speaks about, don't let the spiky fence scare your will and passion, and don't let it scare you away to go for what you want, or what is within you, that passion that is within you. And if you look at the plant, it reaches over the forest here, the forest in the distance, and to me that says to let your fire passions will grow, and to don't hold back, reach for the tops. Also, the top of the plant is blooming and shining, so let your spark shine and bloom for everyone to see. And it also looks like the plant is peeking over the forest to see what is beyond. So let yourself dream, but also do what is that you truly desire, even if it looks impossible to some people. So this is all that I just got from the picture. I didn't even look at the guidebook at that point, because I have been using this deck a lot before this, but I've used it mostly intuitively and just using the knowledge that I have about the Rider-Waite-Smith and numerology. But yeah, for this series specifically, I really deep dive into the guidebook as well, because for me personally, guidebooks are important because they can give us a new perspective onto things that we think we already know, and they just broaden our horizons. So if we look to the guidebook now, what it says for the Ace of Fire, it says, ignite the flame of creativity, seek the inspiration by the height of witch's torch. You can create a witch's torch, which is you basically soak this dried mullein in the wax, then you can light it and use it as a torch, which is really cool. And let desire illuminate courage. How cool is that? And then it talks about how creative inspiration is coming to the surface, which I see like this inspiration and creativity growing because it's going up. Pursue an ancient calling from spirit, that feeling of fire inside you. Take action to magnify your magic. It is closer than you think. And that makes me think of that fence, it's closer than you think. Or even before that fence, it is right here in your own garden. Mullein is easy to find yet often overlooked, just like yarrow. And it is a medicine wheel. And it tells you that you already possess the power, which is fire, you need, but you might not recognize it yourself. Inner strength and outer softness move you in an upward direction, which again, the plant is moving upwards, isn't it? Follow your own spark that will unleash your creativity and allow your deepest desires to find expression. Can you see how beautifully, poetically this guidebook is written? I find it incredible and very inspiring. And then another thing that it says in the guidebook is to connect to ancestors and seek courage from them. So it talks a lot about courage in this card, because you do need courage, to express that will, that passion within you. And then one thing from crafting, I'm not going to read all of them, is to rub the mullein oil behind your ears to hear the ancestors. Once again, very pagan and witchy feel to this craft. Okay, let's move on to the Ace of Water. How beautiful is this? And like they said, all these first plants are very pointy going upwards, isn't it? It reminds you of number one. It has the energy of number one going up, starting, So, sorry, let's continue with the Ace of Water, plantain. And my observations about this card were, fresh water brings you emotions and feelings that heal emotionally and spiritually, because I know obviously that water suit is about emotions and also spirituality. The water we see on the picture is moving water, So to me, that speaks about feelings coming and going, and so does everything else connected to them, to be aware of that. We see a lot of greens and blues in this drawing, and it speaks about, to me, about spirituality, but also heart, because the heart chakra is green. We also see that the water is fresh and clean, and it feeds and nourishes the plantain. It gives life, and new life, is the Ace of Cups is all about new life, new emotions, new connections coming to you. We also don't see under the water, so new emotions can also be mysterious and unknown and unpredictable, and to deal with that we need to stay centered like plantain plant. And also we need to trust our intuition with it, because water is all about intuition. Plantain, I know this plant a little bit, so I know that it heals wounds and brings new healing into your life. And I also forgot to mention, we have always floating water, right? And that could represent limitlessness of love, healing, and intuition that is coming or flowing into your life. So yeah, these were my observations on this card. And then if we go into the guidebook, the first 3 points that it talks about is to follow your heart, trust your instincts and intuition, and your capacity for love is limitless. So you can see how these messages are coming through. Like, my observations are quite similar to what it says in the guidebook, which is very interesting. So you can read these cards intuitively really well, even though you don't know much about the plants or about the numerology. All you need to do is know a little bit about elements, or not even that, just how it makes you feel. We know that water is healing, what do you do when you cut yourself? You wash off your wound first with water. And then it talks more about new experiences cause a wellspring of new feelings. Take a fresh look at an ancient calling of a soul, and freshness of water, right? Plantain is a powerful medicine that is easily missed. To embody the love you desire, you might need to see it in a new light. So again, over-missed plant, right? Medicine plant. To embody the love that you desire, you might need to see that love in a new light. Mixed with water, plantain heals wounds, stings, and bites. And that talks about a simple, compassionate approach to a surge of emotions can have the most meaning. So a very simple thing, water mixed with the leaves, can heal wounds. So to be simple and compassionate, it can heal us, or it can bring the most meaning to our surges of emotions. Nourish your emotions and trust your feelings. Small strings, there's small strings inside the leaves, give the plant strength, and the threads of joy point the way to wisdom. And then we have crafting, which I'm going to just choose one, which I find really useful actually. So make plantain ice cubes to have on hand for healing wounds that sting. So let's say if a bee stings you, you can just put that ice cube that is mixed with plantain on your sting, and it's going to help you heal it, which is really cool, especially if you have small children. So that was the Ace of Water. And now if we look at the Ace of Earth, firstly my observations and feelings about this. So I noticed that there's a lot of green, fresh color in this card, which to me represent life, earth, heart chakra. We feel the richness of lush forest and nettle, which talks to me about abundance and life. We have light shining from behind, which is, life. The sun is life. Light and sun is life-giving light. We also see a butterfly, and if I'm not wrong, is a monarch or royal type of butterfly. I forgot the name for it, but obviously royalty, right? So it talks about, to me, about physical abundance and transformation from less to more. I know about the nettle being a medicine on many levels, and it brings healing to many bodily or physical aspects to our life. Nettle stings, but that itself brings healing. So I don't know if you know, but if the nettle stings you, it actually lessens inflammation in your heart. I learned this, I don't know where, but somewhere, ages ago. And so I wrote, what starts with pain will bring unforeseen wealth, abundance, healing to you. And also do it even if it hurts. Nothing worth it is ever easy or pain-free. And nettle is really tall, has a good point of view. Make sure you think and plan and take a good look at your situation and how you will invest, take care for, or develop what was given to you. So all this I just got from looking at this picture. And then if you look at the guidebook, it says health and wealth might begin with a sting, which is something that I wrote as well. Take the next step, even if it hurts, and let your gifts take root in the physical world. And then it talks about actually this butterfly, that this butterfly is laying eggs, which, you know, talks about the seeds of aces, the potential, you know. And then it talks about the beginning of a new project can be challenging. Respond with action. The outcome is closer than you think. Nettle stings and stops us. Don't let the little sting stop you, which is also a really good point there. It is familiar weed, but it also is a potent medicine. You already have the access to the resource you desire, but you might need to accept it first, like the sting. So we have a little different view on this ace here. Like it is already there, but not that you overlooked it, but you might need to accept that it hurts, accept that it's not comfortable, right? So I really, really, really love diving into these cards. They bring so much. And then let's just look at one point of crafting. Oh, sorry, there's more. I only noticed when I turn the page. It talks about that nettle is used to make ropes, baskets, and clothing. So find stability and prosperity in a fulfilling work that is rooted in a physical world. Develop your skills and enjoy your creations, because we know that Earthsuit is all about, you know, physical things and physical things. Allow yourself to receive from Earth and build on the path of your ancestors. They mentioned ancestors in all 4 cards. And that's something that I was talking about in my introduction as well, that this deck is hugely connected to the ancestors and the spirit. Or it connects us to the ancestors, to our ancestors and the spirit. And then for crafting, if you just look at one, I like this one. Dye journal paper with nettle, tea, and commit to your next steps in writing, which is planting your seeds. How amazing is that? In tarot, number 1 is related to some other cards as well, and I think we should just quickly look at them. We will deep dive into these cards later on, but I just want to make mention to them. So first of all, we have our major arcana cards, which are the beginning of the journey, right? We have the Fool and the Magician. The Fool is number 0 and the Magician is number 1. And I love the fact, like I think I talked in my introduction about this, that the Fool, the dandelion, is weeds or overlooked weeds as well, even though it is a very healing plant. And I love how it points to all directions here. Like all the options are available to you. We also have north, south, east, and west here, so to orientate ourselves. We have, again, a butterfly, a monarch butterfly taking its journey. How beautiful is that? And I love how, you know, with dandelion, you know that it creates those seeds that you can blow away, and they go in all different directions, and whatever wind takes them. And yeah, it's a very full and start of the journey energy to this specific plant. And then, you know, it talks about the seeds and how the seed is a huge potential for anything. But you need to look after the seed in order for it to grow and to develop into what you want it to be, right? So we have the Magician card here, number 1, which is represented by the sunflower. And you can see here the infinity symbol is done, is made by sunflowers seeds. Okay, seeds, huge. And then we also love here we have the symbols for each suit that are for this that are in this deck. So we have baskets for earth, we have kettles for water, we have bowlines, I think it's called bowlines, for air, and we have mortars and pestles for fire. The magician and the sunflower. The sunflower is often in our garden as well, so it's often a plant that it's very close by to us, just like all these plants are. Often, you know, it's planted, but still, I know, like in my childhood, in many gardens, my granny's gardens, there was always a sunflower, and even in some other friends' gardens, there was always a sunflower or more sunflowers, and the potential and how the magician, the sunflower, is looking up, is now in the traditional deck. You have magician taking the energy, or you know, I'm gonna say the magic, the energy from the universe as above, and then so below he wants to create, manifesting. So we also have this here, as above, so below. So yeah, these are the two cards that correlates with the beginnings, so the Fool and the Magician. And now I was thinking to show you the hijas as well, because you know we have hijas, adelitas, madres and curanderas, and hijas correspond to number 1. So we have hija of air, hija of fire, hija of water, and hija of earth, and they correspond to number 1. So they are number 1, number 2 would be adelitas, number 3 would be madres, and number 4 would be curanderas, right? So number 1 is the beginning, is when you are very green in your journey, and so are the hijas. They are just starting their journey, they're learning. Their hands, if you look at their hands, are young hands. They could be hands of children, right? And in the suit of people, we have hands. We never have the whole human. Here we have a little bit of head, so we see there is a child. But yeah, it's amazing. Like if you look at the hija of air, right? She has catnip, and we have a cat here, which is really cool. And we have a lot of light here, which to me screams of air, right? Because in the earth, because if you would think, oh, this is a lot of earth here and blah blah, the earth one is way more earthy. And also with the air, she is learning. You see, she's picking up catnip and learning about it, whilst in the earth suit she is crafting, she's weaving something. So that's how you can know. And then in the fire suit, she is crafting. It looks like she's making potions, right? And it's a very fiery. We have a lot of orange and yellow colors as well, like we have it in Ace of Fire. And then in hija of water, we have, like they talk about making teas, and we have chamomile, and see someone is helping this child to make it. She's very new, she's just starting this journey, and it's very watery. I mean, it's very obvious that it's a water suit. So all these cards correspond to number 1, the beginning of the journey, start learning of the journey. We will dive into hijas later on in the series. I don't want to take too much time for each episode, but just wanted to show you how they correspond to the aces. Aren't they beautiful? So this was the first episode of the Herbcrafters Tarot under the magnifying glass. Thank you so much for joining me today and staying with me so far. I welcome you to join me in the next episode, where we will be looking at the number 2 and the cards that correspond to this number. Until then, have a lovely, lovely evening, morning, day, night, whenever you are watching this video. And I will see you again soon. Bye bye.